If you do any prospecting with LinkedIn, you have got to go get set up with Surf. That's SURFE. It's a tool you can use to add new contacts to your CRM system directly from LinkedIn in seconds. I'm using it every single day. I add contacts, follow my deals, keep track of notes, and it ends up saving me a bunch of time on prospecting and outreach, which means I can spend more time moving my deals along. The data is always 100% accurate since I don't have to copy and paste all the fields over from each and every contact that I want to put in my CRM. Instead, Surf does that all automatically with just one click in about 60 seconds. The team over at Surf has put together a very special offer for fans of sales players. There's a link down in the show notes, and you can use the promo code JWSurf5. Don't forget the E at the end of Surf. That's JWSurf5 for 5% off your first year. Don't spend another minute doing things manually. Go get set up with Surf. I want to share with you in this episode a template or a play that I actually run to generate pipeline. And I'm probably going to do a little series of episodes on sort of out of the box ways that you can set meetings and generate more pipeline. These are beyond what your manager, your sales manager, or your marketing team or your peers are actually going to suggest you do to build pipeline. Everybody knows that to generate more pipeline, you just need to make more phone calls, send more cold emails. Hey, maybe change it up by using LinkedIn InMails, or if you really want to get crazy and creative, you can send a video message over to a prospect. So look, I'm not saying none of those channels work. All of them have been effective in me building pipeline at some point in my career. And I think that prospecting is being able to combine all of those different motions, all those different channels and activities together and finding the best channel for the given prospect that you're reaching out to. But what if you're getting tired of those same tactics? Or worse, what if you're doing all of those things and you're putting out really high numbers? You're sending thousands of emails, you're making, hundreds of cold calls a week, and you're sending out a bunch of InMails, but none of those things are working for you. None of them are helping you generate the pipeline that you need to hit your quota. What do? Well, again, you can get more creative and do some of the things like LinkedIn. You can send videos, or you can work with your marketing team and send them a mug or a hat. But those are also not silver bullets either. And by the way, what I'm about to share is not a silver bullet by any means, but I think that there are a lot of different ways that you can set meetings, generate pipeline, and engage with your buyers and your stakeholders without picking up the phone and making a cold call, or without sending sort of a canned cold email that your marketing team told you to send, or maybe your sales manager told you to send, right? So here's a play that I run, and I'm planning to kick off a campaign to do this tomorrow. And it's basically I call it like the procurement play. And a lot of times what I've heard in my career from sales managers is you should never try to sell to the procurement team because they don't make any decisions. They're just there to, stamp the proposal and work with your, buyer in order to sign off on this so they can actually, sign the deal and move forward, right? But what I've actually found, and I'm certainly not advocating only working with the procurement team in a deal cycle. You do need to sell to your target buyer, whether that's a operations leader or a tech leader or a sales leader or marketing leader, whoever that is, you need to sell to your target buyer. But one way to get in the door might be through the procurement team. And again, what I've heard over and over again in my career is don't waste time reaching out to procurement people. So it's precisely because that's such a prevalent thought process or mindset in the industry that hardly anyone ever does. But what if you were to reach out to the procurement team with a message that actually made sense to the procurement person? And what if that procurement individual actually reached out then to your target buyer and said, hey, had this interesting note come through, there might be an opportunity here. So let's dive into it. Again, you might have messaging set up for your target buyers, your target prospects that's very custom that says, hey, we work with other marketers to drive XYZ ROI and outcome. Do you want to work with us? Let's set some time next week to talk about it, and we'll do a demo, blah, 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 right? But what if you reached out to someone on the procurement team and said the following? Here's my script. I'm going to read it word for word. I'm actually shocked that I'm even sharing this because this is sort of a secret weapon of mine. And I don't think a lot of people are deploying this tactic in the industry. So let's just say that your procurement person's name is Andrea, right? And maybe she, and some titles that you'll see on LinkedIn that are indicative of procurement are things like sourcing,
procurement, sourcing. Look for titles like, vendor sourcing, vendor management, vendor procurement, those kind of things, new vendor acquisitions. And then sometimes you'll even hear things like innovation now. So, for example, you might reach out to the innovation person at an airline or a bank. And sometimes innovation professionals are I guess, hired to go and look at what the next wave of transformation or technology that they need to implement is. Sometimes you'll see strategy too. That's a little bit more nuanced and maybe a little bit tougher, but look for strategy titles also: innovation, strategy, sourcing, procurement, vendor management, those kind of things. So source a couple of those titles, or put together a list of a few of those titles at some different companies, and then you go in and do some research on who they're using today. Hopefully this is where your marketing team is going to really add value for you, which is they have lists of who's using your competitors, who's using alternative solutions to yours in the market. See if you can get a list like that. If your marketing team doesn't have one, I highly recommend builtwith.com. You can use BuiltWith to go and find what companies are tagged on various prospect websites. What do I mean by that? Let's say you want to find out who Home Depot is using for their chat, or who Home Depot is using for their social media management. Typically, you can go and find that information on BuiltWith, and you do that just by searching walmart.com in the search bar on BuiltWith, and it's going to tell you all of the software and technology that's tagged on walmart.com. So try it out. Go use BuiltWith. You can do a certain number of searches for free, or you can actually pay to build out a whole list of companies that are using a specific tool. And that tool might be your competitor, your direct competitor. Then you can build a whole list of these companies that are using your competing product. So now, let's go back to Andrea, who leads global sourcing at, let's just say, Walmart. And you want to try to show Andrea that you work for an alternative vendor to the one that they're using today. So here's a message you could send to Andrea. You'd say, hey, Andrea, I'm Jesse. And by the way, this is a super short message. It's one sentence. And the idea is just to show Andrea that there's options in the market besides what she's using today. And if it makes sense, more stakeholders can be brought in, in this case, your target buyer, your target prospect, and probably some technical resources and other individuals will have to put their fingerprints on this. But for now, we just want to see if Andrea might be able to help us get a foot in the door, right? So, hey, Andrea, I'm Jesse, and I'm with, whatever your company's called. We are a blank platform, and, kind of just generalize what you do. We're a marketing e-commerce platform. We're a DevOps, blah, blah, blah platform. Just, insert what your, in one word, what you do. And I'd like to connect with you to see if you're open to reevaluating your current provider. And then you can put in parentheses who that is. So let's say I'm competing again. I don't want to name any particular vendors, but you would put your competitor's name in there. And that way you're sort of calling out that you've done your research, from looking at the tags on their site using builtwith.com. You can also, by the way, look for the tags on someone's site by viewing the page source code. You just right click on any website and go to view page source. And then you can do Command or Control F to search the entire code, the source code basically on the site. And you can search it for specific tools. So if you wanted to figure out what a certain widget was on a website, just right click on that page, go to view page source, and then, Command F or Control F to go and search for specific vendors that you're looking for. That's all BuiltWith actually does, is they scrape the web for tags that are on the source code of a page, and they put them into a nice clean list for you. So BuiltWith's easier, but just know you can also use the actual website to figure out these vendors. So sorry, back to my template here. So, hey, Andrea, I'm Jesse, and I'm with blank. We are a blank platform, and I'd like to connect to see if you're open to reevaluating your current provider. And that, put your competitor in parentheses. Then you could say something like, not only is our technology comparable, what you actually want to do here is avoid saying our technology is better, because that's sort of relative and it's kind of subjective. So rather than say our technology is so much better than this competitor, just say something like, we have a comparable technology and you might be overpaying for this provider. Would you be interested in connecting? That's really all it is. Let me make sure that's the call to action. Would you have 10 minutes to learn more? Or are you in the middle of evaluating providers in this space? So you're basically inviting that individual to to be open to evaluation. Now, here's why this works. Procurement individuals in a company are paid to go out and, one, understand who their current vendors are that they're paying for, see if there's opportunities to reduce the costs that they're spending on those vendors, and also manage when those vendors are expiring, right? So what you'll find happen is if you're consistent at doing this, eventually Andrea is going to say, you know what, we're within 90 days of the expiration of that contract. So your timing's perfect. And we would love to learn more about how you might be able to save us some money. Let me loop in the business stakeholder, the business owner for this technology in-house, and let's have a meeting about it. And that's when you're going to get an introduction directly to your target buyer, but that introduction is going to come from a procurement individual. So try this out. I'm going to read the script once again so you can, write it down if you're listening to it right now at your desk. If you don't catch it, send me an email. I can try to send you a version of this over, but you're basically just going to say, hi, prospect name. My name is Jesse Woodbury. I'm with blank company. We're a blank type of platform, or we solve blank. I'd like to understand if you're open to, or I'd like to connect to see if you're open to reevaluating what you're doing today. And not only do we think we can probably save you some money, but we also have a very comparable technology that likely meets all of your requirements. Let me know if you'd be open to 10 minutes next week to discuss. And that's it. It's very short. It's like 1 or 2 sentences. It takes up like hardly any space in an email body. If someone's reading it on their phone, it's very simple and easy to understand. This is also something you can text or send via email. You can call procurement people. I honestly wouldn't waste too much time calling these folks. For me, in my mind, this is very much like a quick hit. Send a lot of these out. This is more of a volume play. Try to find as many of these people as you can. And again, do this in conjunction with reaching out to your, CEOs and your COOs or CTOs or whoever else you're reaching out to on the high level. And then who else you're reaching out to on sort of the mid level, which is going to be like your director level executives that are going to be more on the driving side of the project. So try it out. It's, one way to kind of start building some momentum. And it's, again, you're switching from going to the very top, reaching out to execs, down to the procurement side. You're just looking to sort of influence the decision at these companies, especially in bigger companies where there's a lot of decision makers from the top all the way down to the procurement individuals who are going to stamp this. So give it a shot, see if it works. Let me know what you think, and thanks for tuning in. I've got a secret weapon for you that's going to skyrocket your sales without the unnecessary headaches that come along with using one of the big player CRM systems. That secret weapon is Close CRM. Now, let's face it, we've all been there. We've used a clunky, confusing system that kind of makes you want to throw your laptop out the window. Well, fear not. Close is here to save your time, money, and sanity. Close has all of the powerful sales tools you need, minus the drama, to manage your leads, track your deals, and crush your targets effortlessly. It has calling, emailing, SMS, multi-channel sequences, and it even has meeting tracking built right in. It's easy to set up and implement. You can stop screwing around with CRMs that aren't built for you and start selling and managing customers today. You can start a free trial using the link in the show notes, special for SSP fans.